Somewhere beneath the jungle, a city the size of Rome stopped existing. Not destroyed, not abandoned suddenly, just forgotten for 2,000 years, and we only found it because we finally learned to see what we'd been looking at the whole time. In 2016, satellites mapped something the ground had been hiding. An area of Southeast Asia, dense jungle thought to be empty, suddenly revealed its geometry. Not one city, a network, a civilization. 500,000 people lived here, worked here, built here, died here, and the world moved forward without them. You've walked past the evidence your whole life and didn't recognize it. A worn step, the groove worn smooth by thousands of feet in the same place, year after year, generation after generation. Your own foot could fit in that depression. That's the smallest scale of what we are talking about. Now multiply it. Multiply it across an area larger than New York City. Then double it, then add the surrounding settlements. Then realize that's only what we found so far, 500,000 people. That's the population of Atlanta, of Cincinnati, of Portland, Oregon, living in a place we couldn't see because we weren't looking in the right way. They built agricultural systems that fed them through droughts. They created art. They had names we'll never know. They had arguments with neighbors. They loved people, and then silence. The civilization we are talking about is anchor, but not the anchor you think you know, not the temple, the city around it. The infrastructure, the neighborhoods, the farms stretching to the horizon. Western science kept seeing one monument, the Temple of Angkor Wat, and called it a mystery, archaeological anomaly, a wonder, but the wonder wasn't the temple. The wonder was what everyone was missing, the entire world of people who built it. Here's what makes the forgetting work. Angkor Wat is visible. We've known about it for centuries, but we couldn't see Angkor, the city, the people. They built their homes from wood and earth, materials that return to the earth. They return to the earth too. What remains are the hydrology traces, the geometry of rice paddies, the faint rectangular shadows that satellite LiDAR, light detection and ranging, can now read like text. Text we couldn't read until 2016. The city was roughly 3 times the size of medieval London, but it supported a population 5 times larger. How? Because Angkor wasn't a city the way we think of cities, it was a system, a hydraulic civilization, reservoirs, canals, sophisticated water management that turned seasonal flooding into controlled agriculture. They engineered the landscape itself. Every wall, every road, every raised field was an argument about how to survive in a place that wanted to kill you and feed you at the same time. Then, around 1431, something shifted. Not suddenly, gradually, the monsoons changed, political pressure mounted from outside, the system that had worked for centuries began to fail, water management became harder. The city that needed perfect hydrology to function began to lose its grip on that perfection, and people left. They didn't evacuate. They migrated slowly, quietly, so quietly that history barely registered it. Within a century, the jungle returned. Within 2 centuries, the world forgot. Within 5 centuries, we were standing on top of 500,000 erased lives and calling it empty forest. But here's the threshold, the moment you understand that a worn step is a person, that a groove in stone is proof someone was real, that the satellite image showing geometric patterns where we thought emptiness lived is actually a mirror. You're looking at what forgetting looks like when you finally see it. Angkor teaches us something that bends the floor of how we think about civilization. Progress isn't inevitable. Collapse isn't sudden, and a city 500,000 strong can disappear not because it was weak, but because the world it was built to survive shifted. The climate changed, the politics changed, the water changed, and the engineers who had solved every problem they'd ever faced met one they couldn't outbuild. We're living in a different climate now. We're also living in a time when we finally have the tools to see what we've been standing on, not just what's visible, what's hidden, what's present in absence. And that changes everything, because the question isn't whether Angkor fell. The question is what we are not seeing right now. What civilization is vanishing in real time that we won't recognize as gone until our descendants look back and wonder how we couldn't see it? What worn grooves are we walking past without understanding that we are standing in the footprint of someone's life? What cities are becoming invisible not because they are failing, but because we're not looking in the right way yet? The jungle around Angkor is still there, the water still flows, and somewhere in the geometry that satellites can now read, 500,000 people are still present in absence, waiting for us to finally learn to see.